rabbit punch. No headbutts, no low blow. Shake your hands and good luck.
It's tremendously effective.
Just studied the facial expression of that.
Nothing about Vitali Klitschko is pretty.
It move you out of balance. Also.
Hard right hand up the middle by Vitali Klitschko. 3 months ago, I had to learn how to fight.
As far as his mental makeup.
Knocks Adamek back into the ropes. A lot of nervous energy from Adamek. Harold Letterman's phrase, ring generalship, is seldom better exhibited. Seemed to momentarily wobbling, top of the head.
Yeah, just the mere strength and the size of Vitali.
And here's another look at the right hand toward the end of the round.
Given the size disparity, I don't think is going to fare very well at this distance. He's going to have to, as you mentioned, Jim.
Well, Jack Dempsey may have been the hardest puncher pound for pound in the history of the sport.
It's going to negate the advantage of Vitali, where he can't come back with a counter punch.
Well, when the Klitschkos first came along, but at the end of the day, it's their minds which have created the big gap in the division.
Arreola, you American guys want to compete against the Klitschkos, you're going to have to be prepared to be boxers 365 days of the year to make that commitment.
A lesson Arreola incidentally says he has learned and certainly appears to have inculcated to some extent. His body looks a lot better than it did a couple of years ago when Vitali roughed him up.
Adamek landed a left hook that I think bothered Vitali a little bit.
And there's a right hand by Adamek. Feet wet and developing a little more of a comfort zone as he begins to mix in some of his own punches with Vitali's thudding right hand shot right there.
He's going to have to eat some punches. The question is, how will he react to it?
We talked about Michael Spinks going against Larry Holmes. At least Michael was a pretty good bangler in addition to being a fairly tall man.
That's the good news for Adamek. The good news for Vitali Klitschko is that he's handled that competition well enough to again win the round. And he crushes Adamek with that right hand, almost knocked him down. Tomasz Adamek has the guts of a burglar. He's going to need them all tonight.
Yes.
You were right. Ropes held him up. Right, Manuel?
Manuel, as you point out, he had a similar reach to Holmes, not that much shorter, and so he could box from the outside. That is not how Adamek is built. Going to have to figure something else out because at this distance, he's just getting clobbered.
You're right, Max, and I don't think he can do much more than jabs. That when the right hand comes, he won't even see the right hand. Piece of a fight.
You watch Vitali throw his right hand.
Never letting their eyes lose focus of the opponent. That's one of the things that both of them do very well. They have continually focused on the opponent and everything that's going on.
Here, a 40-year-old man, I know he has a huge size advantage, but he's 40 years old, is fighting with his left hand at his knee practically. Hands down at his hips like this.
He does that just to get you to punch at him, then he pulls back. So you see there, he does that just enough to make you punch.
Adamek's going to have to take that invitation and try to load up on something.
Vitali Klitschko. Now, Jim, he does deserve an extra point for that knockdown. And I mean, he clearly knocked him off his feet into the ropes. The ropes were holding up Adamek. Vitali Klitschko, it's amazing. In round one, he had that left hand up. 3-0, Vitali Klitschko.
Harold
called it 10-8. They could have called it 10-9. On the other hand, they do have the right to do what I did. Call it 10-8.
Gotcha.
Really took him off his feet. That's the reason you're going to give him an extra point.
Well, you saw him wrap his left arm over the rope and grip it. Yeah. That's the telltale sign. Hard right hand by Vitali Klitschko.
Sitting back, backing up and trying to anticipate what Vitali is going to do would never work.
What you prepared for isn't working, you got to go to a plan B.
Absolutely. Do a quicker one, but at least it gives him a chance to be in the fight.
This is his only chance. It's very hard to see those right hands. Even though he holds his right hand down, meaning Vitali, when he shoots it, a lot of time you don't see it still.
And Emmanuel, Adamek's face is starting to break apart under Vitali's punishment. Is he aware of that?
He's kind of slowing it up tentatively, and therefore it's not landing.
A lot of punches that the crowd is going crazy are just barely hitting the gloves or shoulders of Vitali. The crowd is going in, but they're not landing that clean. What's interesting in looking at the reach, that Adamek's reach is...
Round 5 of a scheduled 12. As we mentioned in the last round, Adamek clearly has to do something to counter the effectiveness of that jab.
And he's more comfortable now with the height of Vitali. He's adjusted and fighting better now than he did earlier. No, I wouldn't really say that.
His first showcase in the United States was in Chicago in 2006. Crushed, broken into several pieces by a Briggs shot, and his nose poured blood for the entire 12 rounds while he was beating Briggs.
Fights throughout the recent years, never complained, and that's what he's known for, and that's what a lot of people, including you, said, that a much better fight than the Haye Wladimir Klitschko, just because of the mental makeup and the courage that he has.
So far it has been better, yeah.
Already has been.
Well, he's been taking a lot of jabs. See, now he's mixed up now. He's shot a right uppercut, and then he went back with a jab. So he's got, instead of just doing one thing, he's mixing up his punch. He's throwing hooks, he's throwing uppercuts, and to get physically fatigued and also mentally getting fatigued, it's a tough situation to be in.
Everybody tends to compare Wladimir Klitschko to Lennox Lewis. Because of their bodies and their styles, it's an easy comparison to make. Fighting at his own pace.
Okay.
You heard Roger Bloodworth in the corner tell Adamek they're going to give him the rounds. That's just the way it is. The reason they're going to give Vitali the rounds is because he's beating the hell out of Adamek and expedite his demise.
Tremendous right-hand shot. And this time, the Italian referee does correctly rule it a knockdown as the ropes kept Adamek up.
Throw caution to the wind.
Vitali's only the third fighter ever to knock Adamek down. The slick, quick Chad Dawson did it in outclassing Adamek in his only loss in the light heavyweight division, and Paul Briggs knocked him down in the first round of the 12-round war in Chicago that I described a while ago. Right now, Adamek is wobbling, and Vitali's looking to finish.
But big man beating up a little man. That's what this really comes down to. And it's not even a competitive contest anymore.
But they are becoming fewer and farther between now.
These are heavyweights, and things can turn with one punch, but by a nearly 250-pound man.
Yeah. Well, the thuddingly obvious point really challenged Vitali Klitschko, and that's the guy he's never going to fight, his brother Wladimir.
Interesting matchup with either Klitschko in the next year or so.
But did you tell it, whenever he lands a punch, he moves you with that same punch as he, that's why you can't get close. He throws a right and he'll move your head. Here you see a beautiful straight right hand for Vitali, right at the time when Adamek was kind of looking for punches to come underneath. Perfect right hand. And the fact that he's still standing up and fighting attests to the fact that he's got a tremendous chin.
He was 32 out of 69, his high levels for the fight. Adamek was only 4 out of 23. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, he's got some power out right here. Another one right there. I mean, controlling the fight, doing everything he has to do to win each and every round so far. Really one-sided fight.
Tactical changes, you need a basic strategic change.
He uses the same hand to move the opponent's head so he can't come back with a counterpunch.
A subtle skill.
A lot of the tall fighters did that. Muhammad Ali did it very effective too. Vitali pulled back and started to jab.
Emmanuel, you've done so much thinking and so much talking all stands. Of the 3 excellent heavyweights in recent years who've done that, Lennox Lewis, Wladimir Klitschko, and Vitali Klitschko, and you've worked with all 3 in the gym at one time or another. Gentlemen, since coming back from 4 years off with injury, 70th round of heavyweight boxing for Vitali Klitschko, and arguably...
But he's not aggressive enough the way his Vitali is.
No, it's a great point. Vitali Klitschko has the highest knockout percentage in the history of the heavyweight division.
He won a real rough and tumble fight against the very explosive, dangerous Corrie Sanders. He went toe-to-toe with Lennox Lewis.
A bigger one-punch puncher than Vitali.
Yeah, but
also
agile and unsecure the way he fights as compared to Vitali.
Well, there's no question that Wladimir has the more vulnerable chin, don't you think? Has become, as you say, the best at fighting the big man principle because he needs to be.
The Klitschkos between them have not lost a fight in about 7 years. And as you mentioned, Jim, Lee lost a round. They've positively cleaned out the heavyweight division.
Well, the debate, down goes Vitali Klitschko. And the Referee Barabakia is ruling it a slip.
What happened? That was a very
Hard to
odd
tell
kind
what
of-
happened. We need a replay to determine, was there a punch?
Here we see what may have been a knockdown. He threw a right hand and got off balance.
That looked to me like a knee went out or something, Emmanuel.
twisted
Why
it.
did he fall?
He threw his right, turned his right leg over, looked like, and he twisted it right there.
Very odd fall.
Yeah, physically from, as I said, his days back when he was kickboxing.
Adamek needs to be in his chest, making this a physical fight and not a boxing match from long range, which he cannot win.
It's a great point. Tendons and ligaments hold you together if Vitali's had problems.
If I was in Adamek's corner, I would tell him go all out now, because there may be something else wrong with his right leg.
Well, the question came up among our production troops a couple of rounds ago, is Vitali tiring?
I don't think he's trying.
I don't either.
No. It's just how much punishment can Adamek take?
He's going to get caught right on the end of those right hands, as has been happening this round.
We criticized the referee Barabakia for not ruling a knockdown in the second round when Vitali knocked Adamek into the ropes. I guess we should give him credit for realizing at the end of that incident in the last round that there had been no punch. Adamek looks very weary getting jabbed around the ring here in the ninth. There was a statistical barometer via CompuBox. If he threw as few as 20, he was vulnerable.
That was one of my favorite weapons of all the heavyweights I trained is jabs.
George Foreman's greatest line when he was working with us, Emmanuel: this sport is easy if you have a jab. Threw it a little bit the way Vitali does, just sort of lifting his arm up and popping it.
Larry Holmes at times jabbed the same way from his hip.
Larry Holmes, one of the most underrated and unappreciated heavyweights in history.
He's in my top 10.
I mean, if I were Tomasz Adamek, I would come over the top with a right hand. Just wind up and let it go. And Adamek doesn't do it. I mean,
He's gotten frustrated because he looks like he's there, but when he punches, he's not there.
Now you see the target, now you don't.
To first place for heavyweight championship KO percentage.
The referees get into position to stop the fight.
I don't see the point in this fight continuing.
And it happened. Briggs wound up in a hospital for 8 days after a referee allowed Vitali to touch him up for 12 full rounds.
Well, there Adamek loaded up on something.
After a jab. How much longer can Adamek stand up in the face of all this?
I think Adamek's corner is going to have to stop the fight.
Yeah, he's not going to stop himself. That's it.
Good
And the
stop.
referee's going to do
Very
it.
good.
Excellent stoppage by the referee.
The referee was getting in position for the last 30 or 40 seconds.
And Adamek looks relieved. Here's
Beautiful right
Vitali
hand.
finishing him off.
Just too big and too good for this guy. But at this stage, he's mentally and physically worn out completely. And I'm quite sure he welcomed the stoppage himself.
The winner by TKO victory and still WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Dr. Eisenhower, Vitali